Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, February 8th, 2022 at 4:00 p.m. It is a regular scheduled Downtown Development Authority meeting. I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Hannah Jakeways. I am the Downtown Development Authority Managing Director. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce city staff and city officials that are with us in attendance, both electronically and in person. To my right, I have Assistant City Manager and Finance Director Chelsea Pesta. In attendance with us in person, we have Councilmember Osnick and Planning Commission Chairman Wolfson. Also in attendance, we have Councilmember Woods. I'd like to now also take a moment to thank Rob Wittes of Merge Live, who is assisting us with our live streaming services this afternoon. Chairman Blair?
Yes. Let's all rise for the pledge. I'm watching you, Bennett.
Well,
I pledge allegiance to
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ackley?
Here.
Thank you. Allen?
Here.
Blair?
Here.
Easter? Lublin?
Here.
Marshall?
Oakland County, Michigan.
Thank you. Marshall? Michigan?
Here.
Millen?
Here.
Schuman? Smith? Wlodarczyk? Chairman Blair, we have a quorum this afternoon.
Any requests for agenda changes? No agenda changes? Can we get an approval for the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay. Any audience participation? Anyone in the audience that would like to participate?
Anyone who is on Zoom, if you hit *9 to raise your hand, we will call you by either your name or the last four digits of your phone number, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Mr. Chairman, we do not have anybody raising their hand at this time.
Any unfinished business?
No, sir.
Okay, now we're on to new business. We each got a handout of the new of the DDA bylaws. For those of you who would like to read the entire bylaws, we have them available at City Hall. Otherwise, Hannah made each of us a handout, and it would be in everybody's best interest to take a minute and look through the DDA bylaws, because it is actually what the DDA is governed by. Does anybody have any questions regarding this?
This is Lublin. I have not seen it in a while, but that is our governing body of rules and regulations. We're going over this because
We'd like to know exactly what the DDA is supposed to do and how we handle, certain things that go on in the city. And the DDA, really should have a big part in the development in and around the city. And I would like to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're not violating any rules, so that we can all move forward and actually make our mark on the city in a productive way.
I agree with that.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, may I add to some of that?
absolutely.
Background on what we're doing today is at the last meeting, the chairman requested that city staff provide copies of the state law, the code of ordinances, to be on the same page. So what Ms. Jakeway provided was what she is providing now, and she's filed electronically with each member, I believe, is a section of the code which covers the DDA. That code is a compilation of all the ordinances that have been passed since 1990, but it shows the current state of the DDA law in Wall Lake. She's also provided, as a matter of history, the current state of the law for Michigan DDAs. Michigan DDA law that was cited in the beginning was in 1975, and it's actually cited in our Code of Ordinances. But it also says as amended. As luck would have it, the state legislature amended the 1975 DDA Act, moved it all over, and it became effective. The amendment came effective in January of 2019. The bill that passed was 91 pages. She has actually provided that, should you folks like some light reading. I don't expect anybody to get that memorized, but we are providing it because that's what was asked. Give us a history. So that's going to give you a history. She's also providing a kind of an overview and analysis of when they redid the law in 2018, which became effective in 19. And so that's in your packet. And the codification at the state level, which is under Statute 125. And while they moved it around a little bit, it's substantially the same. As far as Wall Lake's concerned, our DDA law is the same. So comparing that with past history, if some of you served, I think the mayor was in literally from the beginning. She may have copies of the old law. Comparing to what it is now, you're not going to see much difference, but you will see some changes. So what you have and what we've given you is an update on every law that's in existence that governs the DDA. What I expect to happen at the next meeting is we will come back to the DDA with a review of the bylaws, which you're allowed to have, and review those and see how that improves our efficiency. We did make some adjustments through the last several years. That's why, and it was a substantial adjustment. It was hard for a lot of folks to take, but it's why we're able to put a few bucks in the bank in our fund balance. If you're curious about that, you can ask those questions. But that's why we're able this year to begin to spend some money and do what's called real downtown development. We're out of the business of only throwing parties, but we're all about throwing parties too. But we're going to do some downtown development, and I think that Ms. Pesta is going to help me out later and talk about some projects that the DDA helped fund later on at the lake. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. But so you can expect a similar kind of thing at the next meeting. If you have any questions about the law and the ordinances, and you can get with us, we'll give you a hard copy of that 91 pages if you want to read it. It's an interesting read. I have to read it. Ms. Jakeway has to read it, and Ms. Pesta has to read it. You folks don't have to. You have the benefit of us kind of helping you out. So that's all I've got on that. I think it does what you wanted to do, Mr. Chairman, at the last meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now we need the executive director report.
Well, I'm going to hand it right over. As I just said, I think that Ms. Pesta, who serves as my Public Works Director for some years, and she was right in the middle of this, and she's here with us. So if you can help us out on the Decker Road, the latest on the Decker Road project, which the DDA helped fund. We all know that you spent some DDA money because it's the gateway. You declared it as part of our gateway, so we put the sidewalks in. I mean, people are really happy about the sidewalks going up Decker, very pleased. Made a lot of people happy because it was pretty embarrassing before. It wasn't much of a sidewalk after all the routes and everything. But it looks pretty good now. So she's going to give you the dates, times on that, and if I need to fill it in, I will. Yes, sir.
If I have some questions about the DDA, and do I bring that now, or?
Mr. Millen, you are a member of the DDA.
Okay.
I work for you.
Right. You say that again?
Ms. Jakeway works for you.
You guys all got that, right?
We will answer your questions. Yeah.
Okay, so, being one of the newest members here on the DDA, I just had a couple of questions that you guys, I'm sure you could probably answer for me. Can you just give me an update on what our fiscal year budget is so far?
Well, our fiscal year budget for this year is,
Yeah, ending June 30th, I believe, right?
well, we have, as of June 30th, our audited amount was about $3.1 million.
Okay.
Our budget for this year is around $815,000.
Okay. According to the last audit, financial audit, the 3.1, we've made some substantial
Correct.
Purchases.
There has been some some expenditures that were approved by the DDA.
Right.
So to get an updated amount on where we're at, we'll have to do a small audit to give you a current amount.
Okay.
But as of June 30th, the DDA has ended their fund balance at $3.1 million.
All right, can we get a small audit? Is that possible when you get some time?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And then, just so I know, so I'm learning all this about the DDA and all these things, but who gets paid by the DDA? Like, is there someone like I know we're a volunteer, but does the DDA supplement any pay for anybody outside the DDA itself right now?
I'll take that. Years past, that happened. The DDA had a substantial staff back and forth. Because of the issues we had financially, we consolidated, we collapsed everything, and so the city has actually been paying city staff to do DDA stuff.
Right.
So the city has, and I don't get paid out of the DDA. The old days, that was sort of some people viewed it as a disguise. The city manager was getting paid over here, and he was getting paid from the general fund. The council got out of that business. One of them's here who ordered that up, so they pay me straight up, so everybody knows what I make, and that's why I always take a hit. But the old days, they paid the city manager, who was also the executive director from the DDA as well. Then they had the DDA managing director, and then they got rid of one, and then she was also the executive director. Right now, and for several years, there is nobody paid. So the city is paying the salary of everybody who does DDA work, and right now, most of the DDA work is done by me and Ms. Jakeway. Prior to that, Ms. Pesta was, she shifted because we have to make adjustments in City Hall. We're all wearing a lot of hats, but none of us have ever been paid from the DDA, not for several years. So right now, when they're getting paid by the city, as small as that is for some of them.
Right, okay, because, I noticed, our managing director of the DDA, Ms. Jakwe, she puts in a lot of hours. She works at, for the farmer's market. She does a lot for us, and if the DDA is not paying its fair share, I feel that we should compensate her in some form, supplement her income.
She does not get overtime. She works
Right.
Saturday and Sunday. She does all of that, as did Ms. Pesta. And before Ms. Pesta, there was the city clerk who served in those roles too. Ms. Jakeway she's probably the only other person in town that does as many hours as I do, ups and downs, but Saturday, Sunday. So when you see her doing those events, she's on her own time, or she's drawing a salary, and she's drawing, I don't mean to diminish her role, but sort of a secretarial salary when she is a managing director. So, but we don't pay her extra, or anybody from DDA.
All right,
And I'm
well-
certainly not, I don't know where you're going with that, but I'm
Right.
not looking for anything. I wouldn't accept it. The city pays me well, I have a contract, I'm good with that.
Oh, okay, so I'll skip yours then. Let me take you off the list there. No, I would like to make a motion. I think that she should be paid for her time appropriately, and if she's doing a lot of DDA work on the city's budget, basically, that maybe is not what it should be, I'd like to make a motion to supplement the managing position for her for $10,000 a year from the DDA budget. I think she should be paid. She should be paid for her time, and it's not the city's budget. I think.
She's not. Union employees get
Right.
paid for their overtime. They get paid double time and a half when they work Sundays.
Right.
She's not got that. So you need a second to do that, and then I'll
Yeah,
tell you how.
I think she busts her butt for us, and I think that she should be compensated. We have a budget, and she's doing a great job. So I'd like to make a motion to
If you get support.
give her a
that's easy to do. You
$10,000
simply
salary per year from the DDA budget.
Jerry?
Yeah.
This is Lublin. I think that there is compensation indirectly. So I think at this point, there needs to be more discussion on that, even though I support paying our staff, a fair and reasonable wage, of which I think they are compensated fairly. And that's something that should go in the total package of the individual's pay.
Right, but if she's being compensated by the city doing DDA work, I feel the DDA should be paying a portion of that.
Well, you know what? That's a. There is. The city people are
Compensated.
are compensated.
But our city manager just told us that she's working overtime and weekends, and she's not compensated by that. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So she's not
that's
being
part of the
compensated.
package. I mean, I'm all for taking good care of our people, and I support that, but I think that there needs to be more conversation before we have a vote.
I agree.
And
We need to discuss this a little bit further before we jump
Yes.
into anything.
What
That's my feeling.
what information would you like to see for to further the discussion?
Actually, you asked for,
I have to formulate my ideas.
as well as I think we need to look at the budget for this coming year before we make any rash decision, which Chelsea is going to supply to us, and then we can talk about it. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying...
I just want to make sure that
it won't
we don't
get
lose
forgotten.
good people.
It won't get forgotten.
Right, because
There's no money in the budget. There's no money budgeted at all for salaries. We don't,
right,
we
but
haven't
I
done
mean,
that.
but right,
We
but if
didn't
she's
do it
doing
for this
right,
year.
I get that. But if she's doing the work and she's not being compensated, what motivates a person if we don't compensate them? That's what I feel. If she's doing the work, she should be paid for it.
I understand. But I really think this should be discussed a little bit further.
Okay, I just want to know, but what information do we want to?
We're going to get the budget numbers from Chelsea, and then we can all discuss it. Can even discuss it at the next meeting.
All right, yeah, if you can get those numbers to us, Chelsea. I appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Executive Director, anything further?
Yes, I have to make comment. I was involved with the old DDA, if you want to call it that, and I hate to see us fall back into that rut that we were in before. So I'm all for compensating employees for whatever, job they're doing, without a doubt, but I don't want to see us get in over our head anymore.
You never will as long as I'm here, but that could be
Well,
only
that's
a
good
few
to
more
know.
years.
So you're going to have to stick around here a
That's why
while.
you have
And me.
3.1 in the
And me.
bank, so actually, we spent that, but I appreciate what Mr. Millen's trying to do.
I agree, too.
The fact is I have the same issue with every employee. I didn't expect to talk about that today, but I just had to go back to the city council to get a substantial increase for my police chief, who's a bit of a commodity. We got several positions open, and he's being drafted by them, so we had to compete. I lost my finance director, who was one of the best around, because they paid substantially more. She went to Bloomfield Hills for 6 figures. She had a master's degree. It's interesting, Ms. Jakeway also has a master's degree, and she's making secretary's salary. So it's a good point. I'm going to have to deal with it, and I'll deal with it with either the DDA. I don't care where the money comes from. I'll be dealing with it. As I got to deal with the Ms. Pest is the same way. She has a contract. Ms. Pest has a contract, and they're expecting some adjustments because they don't believe they've moved in the last several years, and that's true. The CPAW for last year was 5.9%. And if you add all those up, I got the same issues with the police and the fire department. So we're past the part where we can keep people. If you want to see what happens when you can't keep people, look at the restaurant industry. If you go to a restaurant, half of it's open because they can't even get people to work. So you're timely in terms of bringing it up. I didn't expect it to come up here. It will come up at the council. Ms. Jakeway is the only member of my staff who doesn't have a contract. So, and that's very useful to have this discussion today. So, yes, she's going to be the managing director as long as I'm here. So we will have to compensate her differently.
But if you take that if you take it to the council, it comes out of the city budget, correct?
The council can't spend DDA money. I mean,
Right.
it's the council, the DDA money, she works for me first. So
Right,
she's my
right.
assistant, and she's the farmer's market, which is DDA related. She's DDA related in a lot of things, but bottom line, she does everything in my office. So, but she doesn't have a contract. She paid for her own schooling. All the other people we've paid for, because that's part of their contract. She doesn't have that contract. So, yeah, we're going to have to make adjustments to keep her, to keep somebody. I don't want to retrain anybody in the next couple of years. I want to,
No, it'll cost us more in the long run doing that.
So-
She's just been doing a
but
good job, and I
I'm
think,
going to have to deal with the same thing, Mr. Millen, with every single one of them. At the next council meeting, I can say it out loud, the next council meeting, the contracts for those individuals will be on because they're locked into a salary based on their contract. Ms. Jakeway's salary can be adjusted without council approval from the operational budget. If this DDA decides to supplement that or pay their share of that, then they can, but we can adjust her salary in another way. It is fair that if she's doing DDA work, or we hire another DDA managing director. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I'm going to make an effort to keep Ms. Jakeway and Ms. Pesta and Ms. Gross, Ms. Gross is our deputy clerk, and she's on fire in terms of her credentials. She just got her certified municipal clerk's credentials. And that's really great for us, but it also makes them, eligible to leave, because they're offering more money. So you're timely, but I guess not timely enough, so we'll see.
Oh, we'll pick it up next meeting.
I appreciate
Okay.
you bringing it
No
up.
problem.
This is Ackley here. I've been trying to say something, and I guess I was on mute. Number one, I did support the motion, so we do have a motion on the floor. We're either going to have to table or we're going to have to take care of it one way or another.
That's true.
But I today am in favor of doing this. I know the work that Hannah does on weekends, evenings. You can call up there on Friday and usually get a hold of her when City Hall is closed. She's there working. I don't have a problem in supplementing out of the DDA budget when we're actually getting the service that we're paying for. And I don't have to remind people how long I've been here. I'm going into my 43rd year. And we have the best trained staff in City Hall that we have ever had. Thanks to the personnel we have and thanks to Mr. Witt and the way he has handled it. I don't want to lose another finance director. I don't want to lose anybody from this group because we're not willing to step up and pay for what they're doing. We're not going backwards. We're not hiding the city manager's budget and the DDA. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff. I understand if you want to think about it for a month, but you really, really need to think about what's going to happen if we don't start paying these people appropriately.
Hey, Mayor, can I stop you for 1 second? This is Kevin, Michigan. You can't afford to lose good people right now. I know I'm the newest guy on the board, but I would second the motion, and I would say don't wait until you lose someone that's that qualified and that focused on their job and doing a great job. You can't find those people right now. They're not out there. So if someone's has the ability to steal Ms. Jakeway, we can't afford to let that happen by getting caught up in red tape. I don't, I'm the new guy, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but I definitely would second the motion
I think I
to
already
pay her more.
that we either got to bring it to a vote or we got to table it. We got to do something with it. But I
Okay.
agree. I agree.
This is Lou Glenn. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Mayor. You weren't done speaking?
Yeah, if there's more.
Yes, yeah, I'd like to just.
Today, that's fine. Otherwise, I'd like to have a call the question and see where we're at.
Well, this is something that our leader, our administrative, Dennis, our city manager, is dealing with, and we are dealing with this. This is not we're not looking to shuffle this aside, but I think that it has to be looked at in the total framework of a compensation package. And I'm not against the DDA helping with that, but I think it needs to be looked at in total, and not just for Hannah, but for all of our people, because I agree with Kevin and you, Linda, and Jerry, that these are key people, but I think it should be, I don't think we should just throw, the number was $10,000 or something like that, until we look at the whole package, and then we make it so that it makes them want to stay. But, and Dennis is already saying, we're going to be doing that next week.
Then maybe we need to amend the motion and just give the city manager the support that the DDA is willing to contribute to the salary of Ms. Segway once he works it out. I think we need to show him that the DDA, rather than just vocally say, okay, I'm in favor, go ahead and negotiate or whatever. I think we need to give him the support that the DDA is behind contributing to this individual who is giving up her hours right now with no pay, so he has something to work with when he's negotiating. If you don't want to set a dollar figure, I understand that. Let him work that out.
You can't just throw out an arbitrary
is there to
figure.
support.
I think that's a good idea.
I agree.
I think, and it's not just Ms. Jakeway, it's anybody that is supportive of the DDA. There are others that help in different capacities. So I certainly agree that the DDA is a tool to be used to, help us keep our key people, especially when they're doing DDA work.
So shall we amend the motion to give Dennis the authority to act upon the behalf of the DDA and what's in the DDA's best interest?
And then you come up with a number?
I'll support that.
Well, I thought your motion was to amend the budget. Putting the money in the budget doesn't give Ms. Jakeway a raise.
Right.
But if you don't have money in the budget, you have a hard time giving a raise. So the motion was to put it in the budget. That's, if that passes, that's easily done. Then we put together the package. Ms. Jakeway does not have a contract. She works directly for me. She works as an employee, but she's not in the union. She can join the union, but she's not in the union, and she doesn't have a contract. Several of the employees, Ms. Pesta, I'm sorry about putting you folks in this. I didn't expect it, but it's kind of uncomfortable, for those guys. But it's going to be an issue with the council meeting, too, because the Ms. Pesta's contract will be on the council agenda. So will the city clerks and a couple other people.
Ms. Jacoy's won't be, though, right? Because she's not a contracted employee.
If you supplement this, if this passes today, then Ms. Jakeway will have a contract, her very first one, on the next agenda, along with the rest of them, and I'll probably end up, based on this conversation, try to meet with all the council members over the weekend and get ready for the next meeting. It ought to be a long meeting. But yes, I'm very much in favor of giving her a contract and making her stay. I mean, in that regard, I appreciate it, that we having the discussion. I didn't want to make the ladies uncomfortable but they got to make a living too.
Right. So shall we make a motion to have Director Witt act on behalf of the DDA and get the support of the DDA to include monies for Ms. Jakeway or anyone else that is pertinent to the DDA on our behalf?
That works. Essentially, that's an amendment to the budget, which doesn't give her the raise until there's paperwork.
Do we have to put a dollar amount on it then either, correct?
Can't put a dollar amount.
We don't put a dollar amount on it then, right?
Well, you put $10,000 is an appropriate amount if you're going to give a raise and you're going to supplement it. In other words, in the future, I mean, again, I can't remember, it was $50,000, $60,000. She's running the show.
Right.
And when I walk away or retire, assuming she'll be the executive director or whoever they choose, you could keep the city manager there, or the city manager can appoint her. She may well end up being the executive director. But I think you leave it at 10 grand and move it over. It doesn't give her a raise. The raise comes after we take action, and I would, if you do that, then I'm going to put her contract, which will look very much like the other ladies and the men, and at the next council meeting, and it'll be up for discussion with the full council, because the council would have to support any approval of the DDA's budget. That's how that works. The budget, you pass any budget or amend it, the city council still gets to pass on it, so they get to approve it or not, so they get a vote again. So the mayor would vote again, and so would Councilmember Lublin about that package. So I think if the 10,000 is included in that whole thing, still doesn't give her the raise, but it gives me latitude to negotiate with her and see what benefits she gets comparative to the other employees. She's doing, a department head's work now, They all are. I mean, Ms. Pest has done several departments' work for the past several years, so that's how we keep it afloat. So I appreciate the vote, and if that passes, that will give me latitude to bring her a contract for Ms. Jakeway to the council, along with Ms. Pestis, Ms. Gross, and Ms. Stewart. And I believe we have a deputy chief of police now, so that's going to, she got promoted, so her contract needs to be amended. So we're probably looking at 5 contracts at the next council meeting. It'll be on the table. Now, whether it gets done or not, the council will want to talk about it. It means that my weekend will be about meeting with council members to discuss the details of what they're willing to approve.
What we're suggesting here basically is what pertains to the DDA.
You're saying that the DDA, any raise on the part of the managing director that would be supplemented with the money from the DDA.
From the DDA.
From the DDA, which means that you got that latitude.
So do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, well, the motion, what you did is if you include the 10 grand that Mr. Millen originally done in terms of amending the budget, then that gives me the latitude to go to the council and do what I need to do to take care of everybody in the front office. And it really goes a long way for dealing with retention. That's a big word for me, and nowadays, retention. I never had any discussions with the members of the board about that at all. I've only talked to one council member about what we have to do in terms of giving raises. Again, those of you who pay attention to retirement, 5.9, that's CPW, that just keeps them up. CPIW, which is wage earners, that just keeps you up with inflation. You're not really getting a raise, you're just theoretically,
date.
Of your pop probably, Drew, you know about that, I'm sure you worked with it. They got, the year before it was 1.9, but it could hit double digits.
So the motion's on the table, and we just need to take a vote.
Okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I appreciate that. You're allowing me to go back to the council and deal with the last uncontracted employee that I've got. Thank you.
Anyone against the motion?
I didn't understand what.
Anybody against the motion? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Also, we need a update on the Mercer Beach project.
Ms. Pessa, I bragged on you about all the hats you wear, so you get to do that one too.
Okay, so we are working on updating improvements to our Mercer Beach stormwater. We are hoping to get that project started here within the next couple weeks. The project entails us improving our storm sewer pipe that is currently in the beach. We're looking to relocate that towards the end of the beach, so we have a prettier aesthetic to the beach. We got a grant from the DNR and SEMCOG that allows us to make some improvements along the beach with like a bioswale, some improvement to our lighting at the beach. So that project is on its way. We had a little setback at some point, but it looks like we're redesigning it and we're moving forward, hopefully as soon as within the next couple weeks here.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, I want to add to that a little bit. You see all the construction, the pipes, the stuff that goes underground down there, so you know we're ready to go. One of the original design and the proposal was to put an easement through the parking lot. She didn't miss that, of what's called the Tiki Bar now, the old Bayside. The City Council approved a resolution for a taking of the property because they wouldn't negotiate. They weren't interested in giving us an easement, even though there is a pipe already going under it, but they weren't interested. They were unresponsive. A resolution was passed City Council. A lawsuit was filed for the taking of that easement so we could do the construction. And of course, under the law, when there was a taking, at the end of that, you have to pay for the taking. You have to, whatever you've taken from the property owner. We were trying to negotiate with them, even though the lawsuit had started, and they wanted $160,000 for an easement, which means we would have rebuilt everything and put the pipe in the right place. As recent as last week, I ordered the consulting engineers to redesign it, take it off the lot. We're not paying $160,000 for an easement. the lawsuit's still pending, but we'll be back to the city council. City attorney will discuss it with them, but they demanded $160,000 for the easement. It's coincidental that that's just about as much as we're suing them for water bills that they haven't paid. What's the outstanding water bills?
They owe us $134,000 in delinquent water bill, and they owe us another $78,000 of current bills that are not on their tax bill.
And so they haven't been,
Shut off their water. Seriously.
well,
Why should they get water for free?
they got the notice that the water will be turned off. In fact, I believe it was mispassed to the
Do
census.
they have to pay in full to reinstate it, or is it just?
Huh?
How does the water, once the water gets turned off, how do they get it turned back on?
You got to pay up.
Hey,
The whole bill?
You pay.
The whole bill, right?
What it is they're on the backs of the other taxpayers and the people who pay their water bill. Their argument was, well, it's just too much. They didn't pay what they thought they owed. They didn't pay anything. So they owe us the money. So they're trying to leverage. They haven't been very good corporate neighbors. They haven't been responsive and all that. But these are the same people we've been working for years to help their business. We put the police to work, we put public works to work, and I mean, this whole downtown stuff has really benefited them as much as they've benefited anybody down there, but they have not been very good with us here. So we thought we could put it together, but we're going to fix the beach, notwithstanding their uncooperative attitude. So the beach is going to get done, and the next part, we'll start seeing what we can do with the sidewalks down there, which go all the way down to Pontiac Trail from the beach area. So we're taking a look at that. But that's the thing, we got to get done because we have a deadline on spending some of that money. What's the deadline?
We have till the end of summer.
So we're moving. That's really goes to my reason. I don't want to be in court and arguing and, arm wrestling over easements. The irony of that is there's already an easement. It's not legally set, but they've already got the pipes underground. So it was a sort of a leverage that they thought they could use. I just moved it, so the lawsuit means nothing. I just put it back where it belongs. So we're going to get work done downtown, and we're going to get our Decker Road project done, and we're going to get a whole lot of work done next door, which the DDA supports. We're going to get the bridge to the trail open. That's next up. Above anything else, we're going to get it done, and we're going to open that with a little ceremony that the DDA participates in, because we're tying the trail to what essentially is a new trailhead. The DDA helped fund that. I mean, the DDA has done a lot with what we had in fund balance in the last several months, if not last year. And I think the credit goes a great deal to Casey Ambrose, who was chairman of this great board for all those years. He led the way to get some stuff done, and finally we got it. He led the way to put $3.1 million in the bank.
He really did.
He did. He absolutely did.
We were very, very budget conscious. We wouldn't spend a penny unless it had to be spent, because we needed to build up a bankroll.
I mean, that's all I've got on that, and so we're pretty close to done.
Almost. I need a motion to receive and file the warrants.
I'll make the
I'm going to
motion.
make that motion.
Second.
I'll second it, Sport.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It's a wrap. This meeting is adjourned. Am I correct?
What
Motion
the
to
chair
adjourn.
says, the meeting is adjourned.
We're not going to read this out loud?
Yeah.